35% of drivers admit they've ignored a warning light until the car literally stopped moving. That's not a gamble. It's a payment plan for a $5,000 repair. In this video, we map the precise moment a steady glow becomes a flashing emergency, why oil pressure flickers can kill an engine, and how the OBD-II system knows the truth before you do. If you've ever thought, the car still runs, I'll deal with it later, this is your early warning. Stay with me to build a mental triage that could prevent a roadside fire or a seized engine. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Your car can detect a fault in a fraction of a second. It watches every combustion event, every airflow change, every spark. Yet many drivers wait for the car to stumble, stall, or die before taking action. That gap isn't a lack of information. It's because the car translates complex data into a simple dash light, and our brains file that light under later. The system is fast and precise. The human response is not. Under the hood, OBD-II collects readings from oxygen sensors, mass airflow and manifold pressure sensors, crank and cam sensors, knock sensors, coolant and oil pressure sensors, and more. The engine control unit weighs all of that constantly. It checks targets for mixture, timing, and emissions. When a value drifts past a boundary long enough or far enough, the ECU stores a diagnostic trouble code. Then it speaks to you in the only way it can: color and shape. Amber, red, steady, or flashing. That simplification is where trouble starts. A steady yellow on the dash feels like the fridge light, always there, never urgent. The mind tunes it out while the computer is telling a different story. Here's the chain in real time. A sensor reading spikes or sags. ECU logic compares it to thresholds. A fault code logs and the warning light chooses a mode. Steady says a system is out of spec and needs attention. Flashing means the deviation is actively damaging parts right now. Take two common paths. You forget to tighten the gas cap. The evaporative emission system runs its self-test, detects a small leak, and throws an evap code. Fuel economy might dip. The environment takes the hit. The car still runs. Now contrast that with a severe misfire. One cylinder stops burning cleanly. Unburned fuel dumps into the exhaust stream. The catalytic converter tries to oxidize that raw fuel, gets hammered with heat, and temperatures climb fast. The light flashes because heat destroys catalysts, melts substrates, and can ignite materials under the floor. Drivers don't miss these signals because they're careless. Many find the symbols unclear. That confusion feeds a pattern called normalization of deviance. When nothing bad happens right away, people accept the warning as normal. A light that stayed on yesterday and didn't ruin the commute starts to feel safe today. Over time, the bar for action moves, even as risk builds. Meanwhile, the ECU hasn't changed its rules. It's still counting misfires, measuring oxygen swings, and tracking fuel trim like a metronome. Ask a tech what a steady check engine usually means, and you'll hear emissions, mixture, or sensor faults that affect efficiency, not fire. Fuel trims that are out of range. An oxygen sensor response that's slow. These matter, and they should be diagnosed soon. But a flashing check engine is different. That's raw fuel and heat. That's the converter turning into a furnace. That's when minutes count, not miles. So use one clear rule and make it automatic. If the check engine light is steady, plan a diagnosis soon and drive gently. If it flashes, pull over now, shut the engine off, and stop the heat before it cooks the converter and hurts the engine. The computer already did the hard part. It saw the failure, decoded it, and put urgency on the dash. All that's left is your decision. We've decoded the language. Next, what one tiny red icon can do to a $5,000 engine in under a minute. What does a tiny flicker in that oil can icon actually do to parts spinning faster than a dentist's drill? Bearings in a running engine ride on a pressurized wedge of oil. That wedge isn't a cushion you can see. It's a film thinner than a human hair that keeps metal separated while the crankshaft spins thousands of times each minute. When the light blinks, that film is in trouble. The engine won't complain with a bang. It will keep pulling. That's the trap. A driver merges onto a highway ramp, foot down, engine near 6,000 RPM. For a moment, the oil light blips. No noise, no vibration, and traffic is moving. They stay on the throttle and think they'll check it later. In those few seconds, the load spikes, oil temperature climbs, and the pump tries to keep up. That flicker wasn't cosmetic. It meant the system dipped below the pressure the bearings need to stay afloat. Hydrodynamic lubrication sounds complex, but the idea is simple. Spinning parts drag oil into a narrowing gap. Pressure builds in that wedge and lifts the shaft off the bearing surface. Drop the pressure and the wedge collapses. Now the high spots touch. Metal scrapes metal. The first marks are light scuffs. Friction turns those scuffs into heat. Hot oil thins, and thin oil can't hold pressure. Pressure falls further, so contact grows. This is a feedback loop you lose. Keep your foot in it, and the surface overheats, wipes the soft bearing layer, and the clearance closes. The engine feels fine until it doesn't, and then it locks. The timeline is brutal. Seconds of low pressure mark the bearings. A minute at high load can smear them. If the oil is low or already hot, the margin shrinks to almost nothing. Once the overlay wipes, the copper or steel underneath runs hotter, sheds debris into the oil, and the pump circulates that grit through the rest of the engine. The light might only flicker at first, then it stays on. By that point, the crank journals have gone from polished to scored, and the fix is not a sensor, it's a teardown. Another high-stakes case looks harmless until the light starts flashing. A severe misfire throws raw fuel into the exhaust. The catalytic converter isn't a bucket, it's a chemical reactor. It tries to oxidize the extra fuel, and that reaction creates extreme heat. The converter turns into a hot brick under the floor. Temperatures can climb far beyond normal, and nearby materials can ignite. Keep driving, and the converter melts from the inside, plugs the exhaust, and chokes the engine. That flashing light is telling you the heat is on now. Numbers make the choices clear. A catalytic converter replacement often lands between $1,000 and $2,500. An engine rebuild or replacement starts around $4,000 and can climb past $8,000. A tow costs far less than driving into a bigger bill, but many people keep rolling until the car stops. That car still runs trap plus sunk cost delay turns a small intervention into a major expense. If the wheels are moving, the mind says, keep going. The bill says otherwise. Use a simple hierarchy. Red oil pressure, coolant over temperature, or brake warnings mean pull over right now. A flashing check engine means pull over right now. A steady check engine, battery, or tire pressure light means drive gently and plan a prompt diagnosis. When it's critical, follow a two-step field protocol. First, reduce load, signal, and stop in a safe spot. Second, pop the hood and check the basics. Oil level on the dipstick, signs of coolant leaks, smells, smoke, and any obvious damage.